Regardless of if you're level 5, 15, or even 25, one of the key things you should keep in mind is your overall damage output. Regardless of if you are a physical based damage dealer or magic based or even just a tank or a healer, chances are you really do want to max out your damage output to help in either PvE or PvP content, and there's a lot of different ways to do it that a lot of people don't realize. In today's video, I'm going to be highlighting a few different ways on how you can boost your damage output, ranging from consumables to different combos to a little bit of everything else in between. Some of these will be a bit beginner friendly, while a few other ones will be a bit more advanced, so regardless of if you're brand new to Ashes of Creation or if you've been playing for a while, chances are you're going to learn something new in this video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the first tip on how you can boost your damage output. So many players don't realize the true power of consumables, and I'm talking about both food and scrolls, and we're going to be talking about both of those. So first things first, let's talk a little bit more about food. So cooking is a processing profession, and as you can see, different types of foods provide different types of buffs. And honestly, these are pretty game-changing if you think about it. So for example, if your full team of 8 players consume something that boosts your attack output, that's a big difference. I mean, potentially the damage output of a 9th member is now kind of included in your overall damage if everyone in your party is actually utilizing these buffs. As you increase the profession in cooking to like apprentice foods, that buff gets even higher. And as you can see, these numbers can get pretty crazy once you get to Journeyman and beyond. For example, let's take a look at this one. 1100 physical crit chance. Let's take a look at another one. 1100 physical crit evasion. These numbers are honestly pretty crazy, and I do want you guys to remember that because I'm actually going to reference those numbers later on in the video. I also wanted to talk about how scrolls can also impact your overall buffs and just damage output. As you can see under the scribe profession, players can basically craft unique scrolls to boost certain attributes like constitution, strength, wisdom, and all of these can be extremely helpful in both PvE and PvP content. It's highly worth just taking a closer look at these and stacking up on them just to really just max out your overall damage output, which is going to honestly make you rip through mobs so much faster or make you a bit more successful on the battlefield in PvP situations. And of course, you guys knew it was coming. We have to talk about gear quality and how it can boost your damage output. For example, you can take a look at this heroic quality bow, which provides 3440 magical power, 312 intelligence, and then some great waterfall stats right there. And if we compare it to the same type of bow, but in a rare quality, you can see that the magic power drops by almost like 400 or so. The intelligence drops by 30, and all these numbers are just drastically different based on the overall amount of quality of that weapon itself. So long story short, if you max out the quality to epic or legendary, your damage output is drastically going to increase. The other thing I want to call out is that once you get a bit further into the game, more so like level 20 upwards, you're probably really going to be hyper focused on maxing out different types of gear sets. So on your screen right now, you can see 2 different pieces of a Rosarium gear set, which is definitely sought after for a lot of physical based damage dealers. And these types of sets are really sought after because you can now acquire set bonuses if you have a certain number of pieces within that set. If you complete and just max out full sets, you're going to get additional set bonuses to not only boost survivability, but of course, damage output too. And again, I want to reiterate the importance of consumables in this game. To be more specific, remember how that Journeyman food I showed earlier in the video increased crit chance by 1100? That's more than the difference between just green gear and legendary gear in many cases. You can see the difference in physical crit chance in both of these 2 weapons, and I just really wanted to highlight the importance of how important consumables are. So many people just don't use them or don't think they're that important, but this is just kind of a way to help illustrate the importance of how drastically important these different types of consumables can boost your damage output. So again, just a quick comparison. Really quick, if you've made it this far in the video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out and tells me it's worth making these types of videos. Okay, now back to the good stuff. The next thing that's definitely worth calling out is making sure you understand how your skills work with each other. Regardless of what archetype you are, a lot of your skills will actually set up other skills to get additional damage output. And if you have the right rotation in place, you can just maximize your overall damage output. And honestly, it can be pretty drastic. What I highly recommend is just taking the time to stop and read each of your different skills to fully understand what you can actually do with them. So for example, if we take a look at some of these skills that the fighter offers, you can see that Leap Strike, if I hit a mob with it, I'll be able to apply Staggered to the enemy. Once it's staggered, I can use Wallop, which will then trip the enemy, right? So basically, Leap Strike into Wallop, which will lead the enemy to being tripped, right? Once that enemy is tripped, I can then follow up with this other attack called Maim. You can see a little call out, you can deal 20 additional damage to recently tripped enemies. So that's just a quick example of how 3 skills back to back can overall just lead to more crowd control and damage output. Every single archetype has different skills and abilities that kind of work in this way, and honestly, there's ways to even work with other team members. For example, if certain mobs are frozen, some of my skills may also deal more damage. However, I personally can't freeze them. So it's worth taking the time and just taking a closer look at all of your skills to max out damage. A lot of people don't realize that Artisan Clothing will actually provide you with potential DPS boosts. To be a little bit more specific, here's a few different journeyman clothing. Like the Fisherman's Tool gives you crit evasion. This tool belt below it gives crit power, which could lead to additional damage output. There's crit defense. There's magic defense, and honestly, there's tons and tons of just different types of artisan clothing that you can equip not only to pick up that quality boost in that specific artisan skill, but you can also get some actual stats boosted on your character, which does build up once you get a complete set. So please do not forget about these different types of gear because it can all work together just to really max out your damage. And ultimately, that covers this quick video guide. I hope you guys found this helpful. There are still many other ways you can boost your damage, like enchanting your gear or certain spells based on certain archetypes within your party group, and lots of other things. But this is just a good starter guide to really max out damage output and really max out your character as a whole. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for some more Ashes of Creation content coming soon.